This is Amarjit Sada, an 8-year-old boy from Bihar, India, who is believed to be the youngest serial killer in the world, murdering 3 people. Sada, whose life is steeped in poverty, committed the first murder at the age of 7. He was born in 1998 in the village of Mushahar in the Indian state of Bihar. According to Kent Kiel, a psychologist at the University of New Mexico, one of the most ominous signs that someone displays psychopathic behavior is when they commit crimes at a very young age. When these children grow up, they're more likely to display callous behavior and commit heinous crimes. Psychopathy is a trait in which the individual displays a lack of remorse, is detached from emotions, and displays extreme forms of apathy towards human emotion. The majority of crimes committed within society are committed by these individuals, who are responsible for more than half of them. While most of them are adults who commit acts after they achieve independence and hide from the world, some individuals start their killing spree at a very young age. Amarjit Sada, India's youngest and most famous child psychopath, was just 8 years old when he first got the urge to take a human life and hurt people. He chose to attack children, and his first victim was a small baby who was only 8 months old. This is even more chilling because it wasn't just a random child. The 8-month-old child was Amarjit's own sister. Sada is believed to have murdered 3 people by the time he was 8 years old in separate incidents between 2006 and 2007. Sada is accused of murdering his 6-year-old cousin, the daughter of his uncle. It is believed that he also killed his own baby sister, who was only 8 months old. His last victim was a 6-month-old baby girl named Kushbu, who lived in the neighborhood. It's been said that when Sada was in police custody, he smiled a lot and showed no remorse after admitting he had killed his sister a few months earlier and his cousin a year before. At the time of his capture, one psychologist called him a sadist who likes to hurt people. He is thought to have been released in 2016, and his current location is unknown. This is Mary Flora Bell. Bell, as a juvenile, age 11, killed 2 preschool-age boys in Scotswood, an inner suburb of Newcastle, United Kingdom, in 1968. She was born in 1957. Bell was 10 years old when she committed her first murder. In both cases, Bell told her victim he had a sore throat and then strangled them. Bell was found guilty of manslaughter in relation to both killings in December 1968 in a trial held at Newcastle Assizes when she was just 11 years old. Her actions were judged to have been committed under diminished responsibility. 13-year-old Norma Joyce Bell was acquitted of all charges after being acquitted in at least one of the killings. On May 25, 1968, the day before her 11th birthday, Bell strangled Martin Brown, who was 4 years old, in an upstairs bedroom of a derelict house located at 85 Street, Margaret's Road. This crime is believed to have been committed by her alone. 3 children discovered Brown's body at 3:30 p.m. He was lying on his back with his arms stretched above his head. Aside from a few specks of blood and foam around his mouth, there were no signs of violence on his body. John Hall, a local workman, immediately arrived at the scene and attempted cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but was unsuccessful. On July 31, 1968, a 3-year-old named Brian Howe was last seen by his parents in the street outside his house, playing with one of his siblings, the family dog, Mary Bell and Norma Bell. When he didn't come home later that afternoon, worried relatives and neighbors searched the streets, but they couldn't find him. Brian's body was discovered between 2 large concrete blocks on the Tin Lizzie at 11:10 p.m. It would be concluded that Brian had died of strangulation and that he had been deceased for up to 7.5 hours before the discovery of his body. The killer appeared to have closed Brian's nostrils with one hand as she gripped his throat with the other. Before his death, numerous puncture wounds have been inflicted on the children's legs. Sections of hair had been cut from his head, and his genitals had been partially mutilated. A crude attempt had been made to carve the initial M into his body. The coroner said that the child was killed by another child because the amount of force used was small. Prior to her trial, Bell was diagnosed with a psychopathic personality disorder and is Britain's youngest female killer. At the age of 23, Bell was released from custody in 1980. A court order has kept her name anonymous for the rest of her life. This order has been extended to protect the identity of her daughter and granddaughter. She has lived under numerous names since then. This is Derek and Alex King. These boys were sentenced to numerous years in prison in 2002 for the murder of their father, Terry King. Alex King was also charged with trying to get out of the juvenile prison where he was held in 2005. Alex grew close to his neighbor, Ricky Chavez, who was much older than him. They were partaking in illegal activities together. Ricky told the boy to go do something horrific because he didn't know what he was doing was wrong, and he did it. The brothers bludgeoned their father to death. On November 26, 2001, Derek and Alex used an aluminum baseball bat to beat their father to death. They set fire to the family's home in Canton, Florida to conceal their crime. Ricky Chavez's family friend was found guilty of being an accessory to the murder after he hid the boys in his trailer home after the murder and washed the blood from their clothes. Terry King was 40 years old when he died. The boys said that they killed their father to stop mental abuse, such as being stared down and spanked. They would change their testimony several times, first saying that they had killed their father on their own, then saying that Chavez had convinced them to kill Terry, and finally saying that Chavez had killed Terry King and made them take the fall. This is Jasmine Richardson. In April 2006, the bodies of Mark and Deborah Richardson and their 8-year-old son were discovered in their home. Richardson's 12-year-old daughter, Jasmine, and her 23-year-old boyfriend, Jeremy Steink, were the murderers. Jasmine had met Jeremy Steink at a punk rock show the same year. Both of them had an interest in dark horror and creatures like vampires. Steink even claimed to be a 300-year-old vampire. He told friends that he liked the taste of blood and wore a small vial of blood around his neck. Richardson's parents were not supportive of Steink and punished her for dating him because of the age gap. The pair, who were deeply infatuated, refused to be separated, so Richardson devised a plan. She suggested that she kill her parents in order to finally live together with Steink. Several hours before the murder, the two had watched Natural Born Killers. Steink told an undercover cop that the movie was the best love story of all time during a conversation. Richardson was found guilty of 3 counts of murder in the first degree and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Steink received 3 life sentences. Richardson is believed to be the youngest person to have been convicted of multiple murder in Canada. She was released in 2016 after she had served her full sentence. According to reports, she has shown genuine remorse for her crimes. This is Alyssa Bustamante. In October 2009, 15-year-old Bustamante murdered her 10-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Olton. The rough childhood of Bustamante probably played a big part in the gruesome crimes she later committed. At the time that Alyssa was born, her father was imprisoned for assault, while her mother had several encounters with the law for drug possession and theft. Her grandparents raised her with the hope that separating her from her biological parents would help her develop. Despite her depression, Alyssa struggled with life for a long time. She was sent to therapists and given Prozac, and this helped Alyssa for a short time, but it wasn't enough to solve her problems. She was fascinated by pain and death. Her YouTube page described her hobbies as cutting herself and killing people. On October 21, 2009, Alyssa lured her 10-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Olton, into the woods by saying that she had a gift for her. Bustamante killed Elizabeth by slitting her throat and stabbing her in the chest. Bustamante later wrote in her diary. The shocking post said, "I just fucking killed someone. I strangled them and slit their throat and stabbed them and now they're dead. I don't know how to feel at the moment. It was amazing." As soon as you get over the "oh my god I can't do this" feeling, it's pretty enjoyable. I'm kinda nervous and shaky right now though. Okay, I gotta go to church now, lol. Alyssa pleaded guilty to second-degree murder after being tried as an adult. She was sentenced to life imprisonment with a chance of parole after 30 years. She is expected to be eligible for parole in the year 2042.